All right. Hello, everyone. I am Nishant, and I'm going to be showing you guys some Figma basics. This is my first time doing a Figma video tutorial, so I hope everything goes well, and I hope you guys learn something today that can help you in your future UI and UX designs, and can help you in today's UX design demo as well. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing I want to show you guys is the very basics of Figma. So over here on your left, you got all your layers. So that's everything on your file. So I have some other things over here, which we'll get into later. So I have all of that. You can see all your frames on here as well. You can rename everything to make things more organized. So let's rename this test frame. Okay, and over here on the bottom, you can see all your tools. So your basic UI down here. And a lot of these correspond to a lot of different keyboard shortcuts. So for example, this move tool, which you can move around components, and it's like a selector tool, that is mapped to V on your keyboard. This frame tool, which allows you to create frames like this, is mapped to F, but I always used A. So let's see, A works, and then F works too. So whichever one you want to use, it should work. Yeah. And this is your shape tool. So you have a lot of different kinds of shapes over here, and each of them corresponds to a different keyboard shortcut, R, L, Shift L, O. Those are the ones you're going to be using the most, I feel like. So let's make our first ever shape. Let's make this rectangle. And what you can do is you have your first rectangle over here. If you want to create another one, you can always either copy paste it easily like this. You can delete with delete or backspace. And then, of course, undo, you can undo. And then to create a duplicate even easier, I like to do Alt or Option and then drag. I think it's Option on Mac. And then whenever I say Control, it's going to be Command on Mac because I'm using a PC right now. So I have these two different frames over here. What I could do is if I want them to be like a little bit combined like this, what I can do is I can select them like this. I can drag them and select them, or I can individually select them like that. Hold down space to select them both at the same time. What I can do is I can do that, and I can do either Control G or group selection. So Control G, and now they're grouped together. So whenever I drag them, they're going to be grouped together. So if you want to move things easier, if you want to just kind of group a section, especially in your wireframes, that's going to be very easy and very helpful. This is going to come in handy quite a bit. And then if I want to ungroup, I will do Control Backspace. I didn't even know that. So I usually just go over here and do that. Now they're individually movable. If not, they were movable together like that. And what I want to do is, oh, no, I don't want to do that. Let's ungroup these, move them to the side, and I want to work on one at a time. So this can change its color over here based off of whatever you want. So let's do this. This was a color I was using earlier. So I can make this like this dark navy blue. And you have so many other parameters and settings you can change over here as well. So over here, look at this. You can drag over here to change the dimension of the width and the height and the X and the Y position. You can tilt it over here. You can rotate it like so. You can change the opacity. You can change the, okay, listen to this. This is interesting. This is the opacity for the layer over here, I think. Don't quote me on this. So I think this is the opacity for the full layer, but this is the opacity for the color, like opacity. So I think that's the differentiating factor between those two settings. And this is another setting I like to use a lot, corner radius. What you can do is you can change it over here. So if you want to make like small adjustments, you can do like, let's do 15. But then let's make this. You can also change corner radius over here. So if you want to make bigger selections, you can just go full on 133.5, or let's do 70 there. That looks good enough. So that's like absolute basic things with the shapes and controls of Figma and things like that. So now let's move over here. This is a iPhone 16 Pro frame. So what you can do to get that is if you press your keyboard shortcut for frames, or you go down here, select this, you can select from any of these to get started on a kind of breakpoint screen for whatever you were trying to design. So over here, I'm doing this iPhone 16 Pro, and over here I added this little nav bar. So this is kind of me assuming that this is going to be sort of like a responsive website, but I'm doing it on a mobile device. And whenever I'm wireframing, what I usually do is I use very minimal shapes, very minimal colors, hardly even use text. I just use simple shapes, colors, and iconography to make it so that I can build out the basic skeleton, structure, and scaffolding of the website. And that gives me really much needed head start, because from there I can visualize everything, but I can just kind of visualize it in high fidelity, and that allows me to go in and make changes very quickly in the high fidelity versions. So this is a really good place to start, and as a UX designer, it is a very good idea to at least have an idea of what your wireframe and your skeleton of your website or your product is going to look like. So over here we have this, and what I am going to do is I just copy pasted another rectangle on top. And what I can do is do this, or this, no, this, yeah. So what I'm making these kind of look like is these are just like header elements that would go on top with the nav bar as well. And one thing I now want to do is I want to center these three. But remember how I went over here and dragged both of these? I want to do that. But over here, if you go over here, I'm gonna be dragging the full nav bar, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to drag all four of the elements. I just want to do these three. And if I do this, then I'm gonna drag that out. So what you can do is you can go in here, you can lock this, and then you can go in here and there. And then you can space them out evenly with these pink controls over here, and we'll get back to that because that is pretty important when it comes to a lot of this. And imagine this stuff is like all the way over here. What you can do is you can easily align it. First, let's group this, and now I can easily align it to the center. I can easily kind of align it, kind of give me an idea of where I want it to be. So yeah, you can use those kind of guidelines as well. All right, so what's next? Okay, so to continue this wireframe, I will add like a very basic hero section with like an image to the left and then a blurb of text on the right. So I got the ellipse tool. So this would be our image. And what I want to do is, I'm going to add a little bit of padding. Also, if you want to see exactly the distance from your selected component to any other thing, you can just press Alt. You'll see 41 pixels away from here, 45 pixels away from there, 37 pixels away from this. It's pretty cool. Very convenient, actually. So I usually like to have 40 pixels padding in mobile designs. So I'm going to move this to align with this, and that's good. And I will add this blurb of text, but I don't want it to look like anything else. Like, these are nav elements. These are like buttons. So that's why they're dark in color. And this is like a container, so it's lighter in color. So what I can do is I can make this a different color, but nothing too distracting. I will make it this darker gray, but not the same color as these. What I can do is I can make these completely black. So that differentiates them quite a bit more. And this is what I like to do when I'm wireframing. I like to kind of make a legend or kind of a key, so everything that I'm designing or putting on the screen has its own purpose. Like circles will be images, and these black boxes will be nav elements or buttons. And then if I add like another button, like a call to action button here, and have this be over here, and it could be like that. Maybe if I'm getting a little fancy, I can add a little bit of a corner radius. Did that even work? No. Sometimes it's weird. This is a very basic wireframe. I wouldn't even, like, whenever I go in and make wireframes myself, I don't make them as basic as this, but I'm just showing you guys how I would do something like this. So yeah, black boxes would be buttons, circles would be images, and these like grayish things could be your blurbs of text. So for example, if I wanted a heading, what I can do is, since that's a blurb of text, this could be like a little heading over here. Heading, text, CTA over here. And that, as very basic as this looks, this has gotten me started on just a hero section of a homepage of a mobile website. And I will go over here to show you guys this, because this is another project that I was working on a few months back. And as you can see over here, these are wireframes that I also designed with a similar kind of tactic and with very simple shapes, not much color, nothing like that, hardly any text. As you can see, the text is basically lorem ipsum because I didn't even know what the text was going to be at this point in the design process. I made it so that I designed these in a way that I knew exactly how each page was going to look, and so I was ready to immediately jump into high fidelity mockups and get designing in that way. So what helped with that, and this is a lot of UX design versus UI design, is I first made a sitemap of what site pages that I wanted, what different sections I wanted in the website, and then I made a user flow, how the user is going to start off in this user flow, and where are they going to go, what are they going to do, what are the different options they're going to have. So like if they go over here with onboarding, they're going to have different choices to go in a different pathway. This is a very, very basic user flow that I just did for myself. It got me a head start. This is not the most professional thing ever, but there's a lot of good sitemap and user flow templates that you can get, which can give you a really good head start in your projects and giving you an idea of where all your pages are going to go, what your user is going to potentially do based on the research that you hopefully should have done. And you can get started on making very simple yet effective wireframes like this, and like how I showed you before as well. All right, so moving on now, what I want to show you guys is how to make something sort of like what I have here. See these cards? Basically, these cards are created with something that is called as auto layout. And auto layout is a very good feature. Basically, what it means is you can create components like this and make them responsive. As you can see here, I'm shifting it like this, and the stuff is resizing as responsively as it can get. And you can kind of make it so that you can create components for all different kinds of breakpoints and screen sizes. So over here, I think I might have, yes. Yeah, this auto layout component over here is for the mobile version. It's a little longer and a little wider, and this one is for the desktop version. So whenever you create things in auto layout, it allows you to have a little more flexibility with how you can just create components responsively across different breakpoints and different screen sizes. So that's very helpful and a very good thing that you can do. And I'll show you the basics of that. I'll show you how to make an auto layout card. But before that, I will show you how to make a auto layout nav bar. And not as complicated as this. This was a little more advanced in how I designed it. And we'll make we'll make a nav bar, but not as complex as this, a lot more simpler. So I guess we can get started. So here I have this container. I have these nav elements, these buttons, and then I have this avatar over here, which will go next to them. And then I'm going to also add like another logo or something. Give me some time. I'll figure out what kind of logo I'll add in. I don't have a logo idea yet. So, but what's cool about auto layout is over here, we're here with these things over here. What I want to do is I want to group these into an auto layout frame. So what I'll do is I will select them together, and Figma notices that they're side by side, they're horizontally spaced. So what you can do to trigger auto layout on a set of components like this is press Shift A, or you can right click and select where is it? Add auto layout. So Shift A. So now it is a frame. As you can see, it is a frame. It says frame 3. I'll call it nav elements. And as you can see, it's a frame, just like how these here are frames. Test frame, iPhone frame, frame 2, unnamed frame. So I'm going to pop this in here, and we'll work with this on here. And now we can't see anything because the text is white. So what you can do on this frame, this auto layouted frame, that's even a word, auto layouted, I can add a fill, and it's still white, so you can't see anything. So I will do this. There we go. I have added a fill to this. So now it's sort of starting to look a little more like a nav bar, but not entirely. So we'll continue with this in just a bit. So, but what I want to show you guys real quick is the choice of text that I did. So initially, this was a very boring text. So let's look at what the most default text is. Home. So yeah, I don't even remember what the sans serif font was, but it was a very basic font that I didn't really want to use, and it didn't have any weight. It was basically, if you take all of these, the font weight was regular, and regular doesn't really signify anything. It doesn't really stand out that much. Semi-bold and bold are too heavy. They're not really good for a kind of nav element, so I went with medium, which gives a little bit of weight to it, so that's good. So I don't know if I mentioned earlier, but auto layout is very good for a designer who is wanting to design websites with a web development mindset. And of course, you don't have to code or anything. You don't have to know how to code or anything like that. But auto layout will get you in the HTML, CSS, and specifically the CSS box model and the Flexbox mindset. And that's basically what it is. So over here, you can see that everything is kind of bunched up together in this container. So you guys might have guessed, I'm going to add some padding to this to make it kind of breathable, kind of have these elements breathe a little bit. So there we go. Adding some padding there. Can add a bit more. I usually add at least 130, but that also depends on the size of the screen and how many other things are in the nav bar as well. And we can bring this up to the very top, and it's still bunched up in the on the top and bottom. So let's add some vertical. And over here, look, we got these like pink kind of segmented things. Again, if you hover over here, you can see different things. You can see the padding on the top and bottom, see the padding on the left and the right, and then these pink things in the middle is the space between each element you have in this auto layout grouped section. So if you want to add more space between, you can do that, but I think this is good enough. But what I want to do is I will show you this. This is called auto. Auto makes it so that it will automatically space everything out evenly, and that's taking into account the padding on the top, the bottom, and the sides. So whenever you extend this, everything will extend evenly. So that's pretty convenient. And also one more thing I wanted to show you. So this is the orientation and the direction. If I wanted to make this a vertical menu, maybe like that. Yeah, let's not do that. But I just wanted to show you that you could do that. Or if you had elements that were like vertically aligned and then you auto layout them, then you can make them vertically aligned just like this. You can make this a little smaller because what I wanted to do is I wanted to add this like avatar guy and one more logo into this menu and see how that fares. So I will be right back. I'm gonna find another logo to add to this real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, I found a logo. This is the first image I found on my PC. We're just gonna go with that. Anyways, what I want to do now is I'm going to undo a lot of what I just did, just to show you guys how to incorporate other elements in this auto layout. So this is an auto layout container, and then these will also be part of a larger auto layout container. So this is going to be a child within a parent, and you guys can definitely understand that analogy. But look at this. So what I'm going to try to do is all these are side by side next to each other. I'm going to size this down. That should be good. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is now it's kind of evened out. I will select all of these. I will select the logo, the avatar, and the auto layouted nav elements, which you can see over here on the side is a like auto layout frame. And now I will click Shift A, and this I will call full nav bar. And within the full nav bar, we have this logo and we have this avatar. So I'm going to rename those to make that a little easier. And then we got this auto layout thing in the middle. So what now? Now we do the exact same thing that we did before. So first we add a fill there. And what you can do over here, this is really cool. So if you have a grouped selection with many different colors in it, you can change all instances of one specific color. So if you want to make all the black text white, I can just do that very easily. But yeah, this is an image, so it doesn't count. I thought it was a vector graphic, so no, unfortunately it's not. So look at this. Look at this. I forgot to show you guys this. So this auto layout thing is auto. But if I go in 117, I can change the alignment of how these components and these elements are aligned. So right now it is aligned in the center vertically, but all the way to the left horizontally. But if I align it in the center horizontally, it will look like that. If I align it to the right horizontally, it will look like that as well. So that'll come in handy when we work on the cards. So keep that in mind. But right now I don't need to do that. I can just keep it at auto and it'll like evenly space everything out. So that makes it a lot better. So over here, I can also align everything up to the top or the bottom. These things over here are like flush to the top and bottom, so obviously they're not going to be moving. But yeah, just wanted to show you guys that. So can add padding like last time. And then if I add vertical padding, it could look like that. I think that's a lot of padding over there. So I will make it 50, but that also looks like everything is kind of way too spaced out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and I'm going to change that from auto to normal. I will bring it down to space between. Maybe, yeah, 70. It's not bad. Align it to the center. And then I will make this auto. So that way I can increase the padding just like I want to, 130. That's perfect. So that's how you make a nav bar with auto layout. Because with this, I can kind of shrink it and extend it, and it will like resize to fit a larger screen size. But obviously, if you're going to make something in a mobile format, it may not look exactly like this. It might have a hamburger menu or something else like that. So this is just a way to get started and just to show you how you can potentially use auto layout for components like this. And now let's look at how to use auto layout with a card kind of component, sort of similar to what I did over here. We're going to try to make something similar to this, if not exactly the same. So let's get onto that. Okay, so this is going to be kind of the last part of this video presentation, and then I'll probably help you guys out in person or whatever we plan to do. But I'm going to now show you guys how to make sort of like something like this. So first, it depends on how you want to get started. So what I would probably do is I would make each of these elements kind of one by one and then just kind of group them all together eventually. See, this is one card, but it has so many auto layouts within it. It's like nested. So there's the image on top, then there's the info at the bottom. It's all this stuff. And then there's the top portion, and which has all that stuff. And then it has this rating. So that's all in the top portion. And then the bottom portion has this stuff and this stuff as well. So very interesting. And I forgot to do this earlier, but with this, I want to kind of reinforce the ideas of Gestalt principles and some usability heuristics as well. So as you can see here, a little bit of usability heuristics and Gestalt principles over here, like font weight, proximity. As you can see over here, we can definitely see that this bottom portion is sectioned off from the top portion. The top portion is very important. You're showing the name of the property, like the title of whatever it is, and then the rating. So very important stuff up here. And then the stuff down here is, it is still very important, but it's sectioned off as like something secondary that you can look at after your attention is caught by the name of the property and how good it is based off of the ratings. And then you can go down here and see, oh, it is priced at $0. Oh, I can get it. So cheap. And then you can see, oh, the name of the architect. And with this specific app, it would be possible for you to click on that architect and go to his profile or something like that. So this hierarchy is very important. Of course, the image is on top, but the hierarchy is very important for this bottom portion of this card right here. And the more you think about it, the more you understand how things should be placed, where they should be placed, how they should be sized, how they should be sectioned off. That stuff is also very important. And some of the, I guess, heuristics I'm using over here, I'm using these symbols for stars to indicate that, hey, this is important stuff. Make sure to look at this because it has 3 stars. Or, and then adding a profile picture can add to relatability with the architect as well. So anyways, enough rambling. Let's get into this. So this could be our image, and I'll just keep that up here for now. So what I'll do here is I will do title of this element. Let's make it semi-bold, and let's make it a little bit bigger. No, 16 is good. And then to emulate this, we can add in, go into the shapes, can add stars. Oh, that's huge. And let's see how I did it over here. So this rating is an auto layout with the text and the stars inside. And the stars seem to not be auto layouted, but they seem to be grouped. But they still are spaced evenly between each other. So even if you don't want to auto layout them, if you do this, you can see spacing is mixed, but if the spacing is even, you can make it so that you can make it exactly how you want it to be. So let's do 5, and then we'll do 55, semi-bold, we'll do regular, and bring it down to 12, I guess. And let's auto layout these. And let's see how I've done it over here. I have made it so that they are pushed and aligned to the right, because this is the right side of the card. So if you think about like the left side and the right side, this stuff is going to be on the right side. So I'm auto layouting it over here. And you can see that this text is all the way at the top. Well, first of all, we want it at the right, but we want it in the center. So there, look at that. That looks a lot better already. So there, what I will do is I'll increase the size of this just a little bit. That's good. And now what I can do is I can combine these to make another nested auto layout. By nested, I mean that there's an auto layout within an auto layout. So there is this auto layout of this frame 3 of the ratings. I'll name that ratings. It is within this top section. So that's that. And do we have any padding? Looks like we do have a little bit of padding over here. And then I can make this center aligned. So there. And then I can add a little bit of top and bottom padding. And I can add a fill. Yes. And this, make the text white. There. And then I added this kind of like border to it. So of course, you can go back over here, and like how we've added corner radiuses to everything else, you can do that to your auto layout frames. So there. Makes it look a little more modern and premium. And then I think I added was that a drop shadow or was that a border? It's a drop shadow. It looks like it's a drop shadow. And with that, I had no blur. I made it white. Okay. So this is the first half of our bottom portion of this kind of card over here. So let's make another thing over here. So I'm going to use this horrific image over here, kind of make it small, and name of person. And then what was, yeah, and then it was price on the other side. So that is the same. Let's see. This is within its own frame, and this is off on its own. So very similar, but the nested auto layout is just kind of opposite. It's not on the right side or the left side. And that's going to have a little bit of padding on all sides. I'll make it similar to how it was over here. What was this? We'll do 20, 10, 20, oh, 10, there. Corner radius. Ah, this is interesting. So for the corner radius, what you can do is you can choose specific corners. So if I want the left side to be 5, I want the right side to be 5, but the top and the bottom, I do not want them to have anything. I can choose that as well. And I'm going to add the same drop shadow effect that I did over there. Oh, how is this aligned? Let's see. This was aligned auto. This needs to also be aligned auto, so it sticks to the right side. See, did you see that? This was like straight off over here. I tried to extend it, and it didn't go because it's aligned to the left. Everything's aligned to the left. If everything was aligned to the right, it would follow. And now what I can do is I can auto layout the top section and the bottom section to create a greater like bottom half. So let's try that. This is a lot of nested auto layouts. This is a little more complicated but this is just to give you guys the idea of how this can be done. And space between like 15. And then padding. There, it's starting to come together, but I'm having this issue where this is sticking out just a little bit. There, this is starting to come together now. This bottom part over here is a little messy, but what I want to do is make this auto at the bottom. Actually, at the top, I want it. Then auto, there. What was I doing? It's crazy. There. So now we have to add our image. So let me add an image to this. Okay, I just added this. We'll make corner radius on the top. Okay, this looks almost exactly how it does over here. Not exactly, but now the last thing to do is select these and then auto layout this together to make your final card. There you go. That took way longer than maybe it needed to. Wait. This is all for the bottom. Okay. So bottom half. Yeah, remember to name your stuff. And now, as you can see, it is somewhat responsive. The basics of auto layout and how to use that within Figma. And what you can do with these is, now that you've created this, if you wanted to use them in the future, what you can do is you can select this and you can make it a component. Control-Alt-K or Control-Option-K. That would also make this a component. And what you can do is, now you can go into your assets, and now you have two components. So if you ever make another screen over here, you can take this nav bar and use it over here. But your original one will act as your main component. So if you go here and go to main component, if I make a change here, if I make this like big, look, that happened over here too. So it'll update on every other instance. But imagine I make it 2 stars, and it happened over here, but I didn't want it to change to 2 stars over here. I can select this entire component and detach the instance. So that detaches it unlinks it from the original component. And then I can go in here, or I can go in here, the main component, which that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go into the main component, go to 2 stars. It doesn't happen over here, or vice versa. So that's just a little bit of Figma basics. I hope I didn't ramble on too much. I hope that was coherent and you guys understood. If you guys didn't, you guys can comment on this video or ask me in person if you guys find me in person wherever I am. All right, I'll see you guys in the next one later.